Okay, so welcome to our group. We're going to be talking about what to say when you talk to yourself. We're recording it, which was Amber's genius idea. So if you were not able to join us this week, you can listen to the recording. We prefer to have you live because that's more fun. But we're going to be going over this book. I think self-development is really a key in being a leader. For myself, I started a self-development study with Christine last July, and it was over 21 laws of, I don't remember the name of it. Anyways, the Maxwell book, about 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And I didn't even know that I was a leader. I never thought of myself like that. But by doing self-development, you kind of learn things about yourself, and you're often more capable than you think you are. So my hope is that this book will help show those of you that are maybe new to having a team, or even the ones that you've had a team for a while, just the importance of working on yourself. Because I really believe that you have to have belief in yourself and belief that you can do this Plexus business in order to have that belief in your team and to show them that they can believe in themselves too. So the book is about belief and how to talk to yourself and how to be positive. And we're going to look inward. There's a quote that I wrote down. It wasn't from the book, but I got somewhere else that says, if you fail to go within, you will always go without. And that was from a John Maxwell trainer. And I think that's a really good point. We have to be reflecting, and we have to be figuring out why we have negative chatter in our head, why we have self-doubt, look past that negative talk and limited belief and things in our past, maybe broken relationships, different things like that that have caused us to not believe and not to have that confidence, basically. So in the book, it does talk about that our brains are like a computer. And sometimes, like whatever we put in over the years, even in our childhood, even when we were growing up, those things that we put into our mind by other people telling us, it's hard to get those things, especially if they were negative, out of our head, because our computer brain remembers it. And so sometimes we can just be stuck with that negativity. And so we need to look at what's blocking us from success and what's blocking us from going forward and figuring out what the wall is. And once we do that, we need to reprogram our computers, reprogram negative chatter with positive belief, and just completely retrain our brains on how we think. So I'm super excited about that. The brain is just an amazing thing in that we can tell someone, I want you to picture in your head a black car, and we instantly see that in our head. Like our brains are so programmable. And, one thing that I want all of you on here to visualize, to picture in your head, is yourself in Kona, in Hawaii, as an emerald. I just think that that's something you guys should, and if you haven't already, just start picturing in your head. I told Amber today to put on her screensaver the little Kona, Hawaii picture graphic thing, because I believe that she can get there this year. I believe anybody on this call could get there next year for sure. And I'd love to be proven wrong. There might be, I don't know, Sadie might be there this year. I don't know. I just think I am a total optimist, I'll be honest, but I love this book. I can't tell you how much I love this book, because I think, we've got to be able to picture success in our heads in order to have success. And, if we believe we can achieve our goals and our dreams, we've got to have that belief in order to inspire our teams. So my prayer is that, we're going to learn together and be the leaders that God intended us to be for our teams. I also like that quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right, by Henry Ford. I think that's a really good quote to start off the study thinking about, because if we tell ourselves we can't or it's too hard, then we tend to give up too fast. So I'm going to start with chapter 1. Hopefully you guys read the book, read through some of it at least. I love that first little highlighted, or not I highlighted it, but that little italicized part that says, you are everything that is. Your thoughts, your life, your dreams come true. You are everything you choose to be. You are as unlimited as the endless universe. And I thought, wow, what a great quote. I mean, that almost sounds scriptural, you know, like God cares about us and he knows the plans for us. It's one of my favorite verses, as it is for a lot of you guys too, I know. But, you know, I liked how this book starts off talking about, you know, why don't things work out the way they're supposed to? And we all have dreams of having a family and success, and, you know, what stands in our way of that? And it talks about being a kid. And, you know, when I went to, Sonia Dudley had a training in March with a lot of the Blessed team, and I was able to go to that in Oklahoma. And she talked about when she was a little girl, she used to put on a cape, like a little Superman cape, and get up on her bed. And she would get up on her bed, and then she would like jump off, leap off that bed, and she believed that she could fly. Like she would practice it. Like she was going to fly across the room like Supergirl. And, you know, she's like, why is it that, you know, we stop dreaming those big dreams and that belief in ourselves, you know, that we had when we were kids? And we hear a lot about childlike faith. And so it just got me thinking too, like, I remember when I was a little girl, I used to just, you know, love, like being a princess. And I remember when Princess Di got married, and I was like junior high, but I still just thought, maybe I could be a princess someday, you know, and have a royal wedding. I mean, like, every little girl has these dreams of what happiness and success is going to look like. And it's sort of sad how our society puts all these negative, like, you can't, you know, well, you shouldn't, or, you know, don't have your head in the clouds, like, be realistic. And so, you know, we limit our dreams, and we think, well, maybe we can't do that, or that's just crazy talk. And so I think, you know, to reach for the stars and look at the stars again is really good for us to do too, as we're on this journey with Plexus, because there's so much potential with it for us to grow and to see our dreams happen. In the book, you know, he talked to, that first chapter is really just kind of a preface of what's going on in the book. But, you know, one of the things too that I took note of was, you know, and this was in chapter 2, but, you know, like, we're always being told no, even as a little kid, you know, we're told no constantly. And like 148,000 no's was part of that other chapter. And, you know, 77% of our thoughts are negative because we've been programmed, again, like in that computer brain of ours, that we can't do things, or that we shouldn't, you know, dream that big or whatever. So, you know, it was cool how he talked about studying all these different things like motivational marketing and, you know, human behavior and psychology and mathematics and business and religion and psychology, all these different things he studied. And when it came down to it, he just said, you know, mastering one's future must surely start with managing one's own self. And I think that was a really, really good point. I know, let's see. What's the other part I was gonna, oh, I love that quote where he said, how could an individual touch the stars in heaven and still keep both feet on the ground? You know, in other words, how can you reach your goals, but still, you know, be human and be a giving person, you know? And I think that's important to stay grounded as well. So I think it's important for us to really discover the wall that stands in our way. Again, one of the things that Sonia Dudley talked about in that training was, you know, trying to figure out, like, if you can just kind of think about in your past, who were some negative people in your life that told you you couldn't do things, you know? And I know we all have our own stories and we have our own journeys. And maybe, you know, some of us may have grown up in super encouraging Christian, great families, great homes. And so we were always told that we could. And that's awesome. Not everybody's going to have like a bunch of baggage to work through. And some of us may have baggage and we've already worked through it. And so that's really good. But for those of you that have, you know, hurts or things in the past, I'm not a counselor, We're not doing group therapy, but my hope is that this book will help you kind of come to grips with some of that and overcome it so that we can be overcomers. And so that's something to look back on. I mean, she even talked about, like, you know, maybe you were, you know, trying out for the cheerleading squad and didn't make the cheerleading squad. And so ever since then, you've just been really, you know, reserved or not as, you know, outgoing because you're afraid of rejection or whatever. You know, little things that were big things when we were younger can affect us our whole lives. And so I had someone ask me recently, she's on this call actually, but she said, you know, did you always believe that you would get this far with Plexus? Like, did you from the beginning think I'll be an emerald? And I really didn't from the very beginning, you know, but when I went to convention, that's where I solidified my belief, seeing those other Plexus ambassadors that had, you know, ranked up to that level. I thought, there's nothing special, there's nothing different. They're moms like I am. I can do this too. And I think a lot of that stemmed through, you know, I had a tough childhood growing up, but I had a great foster family starting at the age of 14, and they really taught me that, you know, God doesn't make junk, that you're a creation, you're a child of God, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And so, you know, we're all here for you if you ever feel like you can't. You know, that's what the great thing about our team is that we support each other and we can cheer each other on. So I just want to put that out there, that I believe in every one of you, and I believe you guys can do this too. Okay, so that is chapter 1. Does anybody have anything they want to share that they got out of that first chapter? I would love to hear it. And it was a really short one. It's only 2 pages, but.
I had something that I thought was super interesting when he talked about on page 17 that I found dozens of answers, but I discovered only one solution. And I think that that's so many times what we're looking for is we're looking for an answer and someone else to give us an answer instead of what will actually be the solution to the whole issue. So I liked that to precursor what's going to come in the book.
I think that's a very good point. I think that's true. I get that question a lot. Like, people will say to me, what can I do to motivate my team? What can I do to grow my team? You know, and it's like, I wish I had the crystal ball and the magic potion to make it happen for everybody, you know, and even myself some months just trying to sponsor one, you know. So I think that's true. You know, you're always thinking too that it's going to be, you're going to find the perfect, you know, YouTube video on Plexus of how to rock your business, or the perfect network marketing book. But you're right. I mean, sometimes I think that answer does really come within. Who else has something? Anything? You have to be quiet.
I'll just say from page 1, it just took me back to Sonia Dudley training. It was.
Oh, you were there, yeah.
Yeah. Just took me right back to it.
What did you get out of that Sonia Dudley? Like, what was the biggest takeaway that you had?
The positive affirmations.
Yes.
And working through those with Suzanne.
Oh, that's right. She got a serious training on positive affirmations from Suzanne McCreary, who's on her way to go Emerald right now. So
I know it, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, it was really good. Hopefully she'll come to Arizona.
Who?
Sonia.
Sonia?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
She said that you have to, when I talked to her, she said there has to be a jewel in Arizona before she'll do it. So now you can request it.
Oh, so I need to tell her to get over here.
Anyway, I know.
Cool.
I would probably fly out for it again. It's that good.
What do you mean fly out for it? We're going to bring her here.
Well, we can do that.
Indiana, Illinois, you have jewels there.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, I agree. Get it done. Okay. Anyone else? One more little call, and then I'll go to chapter 2. Nope. Okay. So chapter 2 was just a tiny bit longer. Let's see. What did I write down? Oh, I kind of went into this already, just about, it talked about finding the answers, kind of touched on that. And, so many keys to success, why aren't they working? And that's true. Like, that can be really frustrating when you're like, well, it's working for that other person. And, you can get really caught up in the comparison game too. Like, well, why is it working for her and it's not working for me? And why can't I find the answers? And I went to Super Saturday and I'm going to convention. That should be it, And I think the events are definitely important, and they're huge, big time, huge for people to build their belief. But it's really not the event or the speaker or the training that's causing you to believe. I think the belief is something that you have to really determine in your own heart and draw this line in the sand yourself, and that happens at the meeting a lot of times. But what makes it happen isn't just the event, it's what goes on in your brain, in your mind again. And if you can picture yourself doing that and commit to do that, I think there's real power in writing down your goals. I did that at convention. I've done that over the past. I'm not super great at it. I wish I'd kept more of like a little journal or something for my journey. It's never too late to start one, but I think that's a great idea to do. If you're just starting with Plexus, start a journal, because I think you'll learn so much about your journey. You'll be able to go back and reflect and see your goals happen and your dreams happen, which would be really cool. But yeah, it's all about what you decide in your brain. And I've always kind of thought that a little bit, but this book is really like totally confirming that. It's amazing, the scientific evidence of it. And if you think about it too, just like what's the scripture it talked about in there about as a man thinketh, so is he, that's so huge. God even knew that before time, that, our thoughts, take captive our thoughts. There's all kinds of scripture about that. So, it sounds to some people like crazy talk. That's what I put on my Facebook page today, like you're going to talk to yourself. But I think God wants us to affirm and to be positive, not negative. I think nothing breaks his heart more than when we're like, I am so stupid. I can't get my act together. I'm just not smart enough. I'm not creative enough. I'm not as social as her. Or I'm comparing myself again. Like all that negative. That's not how we're meant to live. So we have to, find ways to tune that out of our brain. And again, like, I said, the brain is a computer, and what's been played over and over and over again. Is it failure? Is it doubts? Is it negative talk? Comparisons? Telling yourself it's too hard. All those things, we have to come up with a new vocabulary for our brain. Looking inward. And I liked too how, like there was a quote that I wrote in here, and I kind of circled and starred on page 25. It said, you will become what you think about most. Your success or your failure in anything large or small will depend on your programming, what you accept from others, and what you say when you talk to yourself. And you go down a little bit more, and it says the brain simply believes what you tell it the most. And, gosh, that's powerful when you think about it. I'm excited to just dig further in this book, because I think there's going to be all kinds of really interesting stories. And, and I do know, like Lori brought up affirmations. That's, some of you may have not even heard that word before, really, but it's, just what you tell yourself, like writing down positive affirmations and saying them over and over again. That's, again, whatever a man thinketh, there he is, So, very good stuff. I think, too, another good point that I wrote down is a lot of jewels say that they got stuck at certain levels, and if you ask them, a lot of times they really strongly believe that it's because they needed to grow personally. They needed to work on self-development. And I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind, when you are stuck at a certain level. If you're stuck at silver, if you're stuck at ruby, whatever level you're stuck at, and I'm a big believer in God has a plan for everything. So if you're stuck, it's for a reason. If you're not moving on to that next level, even though you desperately want to be there at this certain timeline, you have to just think, okay, what do I need to work on? What's the plan? So yeah, the brain believes what you tell it. One thing that I have kind of struggled with, and I still do, to be honest with you guys, personal, public speaking, I don't get super nervous, I know one person in particular, she's getting better, Amber. But I still just, when I'm public speaking and telling my testimony or whatever, I'm constantly thinking, what are they thinking about me? Do they think I'm for real? Do they think I'm crazy? Do they think I know my stuff? Could I be explaining this better than I am? I'm still constantly doing this negative chatter thing. So even though I'm Emerald, I do not have it all together. I'm sure all of you realize that, but I really don't. I'm still growing. I'm still a work in progress. And so it's something that we have to practice, and I'm excited to do these positive affirmations. That'll be one of mine. I'm going to have to tell myself that I am a good public speaker. Now, just because I tell myself I am doesn't mean that I just tell myself and never practice, or tell myself and never work on it. I think we all have to do our part to be actively working on improving ourselves. But I think this is going to be a good thing to just have those positive affirmations. Does anyone have anything they want to share about chapter 2?
I don't know if it's, not that because it's so specific to chapter 2, but just what it says, I think is going to help a lot, because we are our own worst enemy. Because, we're getting rejected all the time, and if we let that get to us, we're going to be stuck where we're at.
Yes. When people tell us no when we're trying to tell them about Plexus, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't
get rejected all the time.
Yeah. I just couldn't hear you that good, but I think I got what you.
Sorry. I really need to work on this microphone thing.
It's all right. No, you're right. We're constantly, she's right. Jennifer's right. We're constantly being told no, and it's real easy to get on the emotional roller coaster of, oh my gosh, I've been sharing this, I've been reaching out, and nobody's wanting to join Plexus, and I can't even get one person. What kind of leader am I if I can't sponsor one? That is, you're right. It's a negative thing. And I think instead we have to just be determined, okay, I'm going to make this happen this month. I'm going to get one, and because once you get one, then you're, hi, Billy. Once you get one, then, it spurs you on. It motivates you. I sponsored one today, and I'm like, okay, who else can I call now? That's how it needs to be. And you're right. But yeah, we get on those, I also had 2 quit today. So, it's emotional. And if you allow yourself to constantly ride that wave of up and down, you'll drive yourself crazy and you'll feel like quitting. Literally there's some people that just feel like quitting and they can have a promotion last month and this month they can't find one. So they just want to give up. And you're just like, did you look at what happened last month? Sometimes we can't see it for ourselves. That's why it's good to have, if you don't already have a running buddy, have somebody, a power partner, somebody that can cheer you on, that can help you on those bad, hard days, because we all have those hard days for sure. Definitely a good point.
Kind of piggybacking off of what you just were saying, Rebecca, and you actually used the quote earlier when it says about you'll become what you think most, your success or failure in anything, large or small, will depend on your programming. And I love this next part, what you accept from others. So talking about what the gal, sorry, I don't know her name, with the little earbuds was talking about on the negative side of it, but then also on the positive side, like you were just talking about. And I think that that's so impactful, and I try and teach my kids. And I think you and I were actually just talking about this earlier or yesterday, is we can never control what others do. We can only control how we respond to it. So it's accepting or choosing if we're going to accept it or if we're going to just use it for something different. So I loved that. I had it highlighted.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, like it did make me think of my kids too when I read this book. You know, like just as a mom, we need to be pouring belief into our kids, and you know, because if they're thinking negative all the time, no wonder they're negative. You know, like it really convicted me reading this book, having teenagers, that, you know, I need to be more active in believing in them. And I watched a video earlier today too about belief, and they were talking about there's a movie about Ben Carson's life. I've never seen it. I can't think of the name of it even, but it was a movie about his life. And if you know anything about him, you know, he grew up very poor, and his mother was a maid, and I guess she cleaned houses, and, you know, she's a maid. She cleaned house with this big mansion, and this millionaire guy, he had like a huge library of books, just like probably one of those staircase library with 2-3-story books. And she's like, have you read all these books? And he said, yes. And so that day she just decided, like, that must be why he's so smart and successful, because he's read all these books. So she would make her boys read books constantly, and she would tell them, this is how you're going to be successful in life, is you're going to be smart, and you're going to read. And she didn't even know how to read herself. She didn't have you know, a high school education or anything. And of course he went on to be one of the top neurosurgeons in the world. And so, you know, I think it stems from his mom had complete belief in him and taught him to believe in himself, despite what other people would tell him as a black kid growing up that was poor.
Was it Gifted Hands?
Yeah, I think that might be it. Have you seen it, Sadie?
No, I just Googled it to see what you were talking about.
Oh, she Googled it. Good. Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else have something from chapter 2? I have a little bit more I want to share after that, but if you guys have anything else you want to pull from there? I like the part where it talked about, you know, sometimes we create a wall which stands in front of us invisibly but powerfully between us from our future. And it's like that, you know, unless the program we received is erased or replaced with different programming, it will stay with us permanently and affect and direct everything we do for the rest of our lives. But fortunately, that does not have to be the case. I thought that was good, because so many times people think they're helpless in their situation, and they think, okay, this is just how it's going to be, you know. And I actually felt that way before I started Plexus. Like, I had gained weight, I was depressed, and I was 40 something, and I just thought, I guess this is just how it's going to be. I'm going to be overweight, Kevin is too, whatever. And that's a horrible place to be, and just a stuck rut like that, just thinking that's just it. And I love how it says, you know, fortunately that doesn't have to be the case. We can reprogram our computers. So. Okay. So quiet. All right, so here's some things to work on. You guys can write these down if you want to. I'm going to have 3 things to work on and 3 actual kind of hard-ish type things to do. So the first work on thing is work on reprogramming your computer. Work on what you're saying to yourself. And it just means, like, reflect, you know, think about how you've been talking to yourself lately with your Plexus business, or even just on a personal level too, you know, like what you've been telling yourself as a mom or a wife, or in your Plexus business too. And just, you know, attempt at, you know, seeing where that negativity is coming from. Well, that's my next thing. But yes, work on what you're saying to yourself.
Hey, Rebecca.
Uh-huh.
Can I piggyback on that only because when you said about how it has helped you on thinking as being a mom, that same thing I have written down as well, because we pour into our kids on what we believe on ourselves. So do you think with our work on reprogramming your computer, that also seeing how we also portray it out to our families would be a good indicator on what we're talking to ourselves about as well? Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
It was just something that popped in my head as something that to help me, I guess, when I'm looking at what you just asked us to do. So anyways, I don't know if it's to others, but
like get your family to tell you how they perceive
no,
it? Or,
on how I respond to my family. If I'm cutting them down, I probably am not saying encouraging self-talk to myself either. So
Yeah.
if I'm casting out negativity, I'm sure that I'm not inwardly being positive, you know, so it just popped into my head. Sorry to interrupt that.
No, you guys interrupt me anytime. Seriously. This is a back and forth. And that's a great point. Really great point. Because yeah, I mean, I know that it's not easy, you know, it's just not easy being a mom, period. And then when we're trying to run a business from home, you know, like it gets distracting and we get obsessed with our business, and you know, sometimes we're just, you know, not very patient with our families, and we need them to support us and be on the same page with us. So good point. Yeah. Very good point. Right, and family. Okay. And then number 2 is try to identify where the negative chatter comes from. Again, like just look at, you know, maybe what's kind of causing it, or what in your past has been a factor in how you talk to yourself or how you view yourself. And I think part of that, in identifying where it came from, I want to encourage you guys to really just think about forgiving that person. Like if it was your mom or your grandpa or, you know, an ex-husband, whatever it was, like dig deep within yourself to forgive that person. I mean, I don't know if you want to reach out to that person or not. That's totally up to you. But in your own heart and with God, you want to be forgiving whoever, because you don't want to reflect back to what caused you maybe to struggle with negativity and then be bitter. You know, you want to replace that bitterness or that anger with forgiveness. I think that's a real good key. And then number 3 is shift your mindset, you know, which kind of goes hand in hand with reprogramming your computer. But Les Brown talks about what's your energy signature, you know, like what kind of energy are you giving off? Is it positive or negative? And people are going to be, of course, drawn to the positive more than the negative. And of course, like Heather said, even that's our own family, as well as people we're trying to reach out to about Plexus. So we want to convey a positive energy to people. So we've got to choose faith over fear, and, you know, work on having that childlike faith that people can be attracted to, and positivity. So those are the 3 things to work on. And I'm going to post those 2 on our page just so we have it written somewhere. Okay, and then the homework. I got this idea from Sonia. It's not a Rebecca original. But in the morning when you wake up, in the first 2 minutes, well, no, let's see. Just when you wake up, when you're in bed, I want you to have the attitude of gratitude. You know, be thankful to God that you get to do Plexus. You know, sometimes when we're working so hard and we're trying so hard to grow our teens, it can become like a chore. You know, we can just be like exhausted. You can burn yourself out. I mean, you really can. And so I want us to think of it as we get to do Plexus, not we have to do Plexus, and just be thankful for the opportunity that God's given us. And then the second thing is in those, like when you're still getting out of bed, you might have to set your alarm a little early, but it's only 2 minutes. I want you to have some positive affirmations written down, keep them by your bed. you can record them too. There's an app. Lori probably knows the name of the app. Or maybe, I don't know if she does.
I think if I remember right, it was called like Repeat It or something.
Yeah, repeat it again, or
Something like that.
I can look that up too and put it on our page if anybody's interested. But it's basically like you can just put on your phone a little app that you can say them, you can record affirmations, and just play them. Your husband might think you're crazy next to you, but put it in headphones, Jennifer. She's got the headphones. But anyway, I love that because, you know, that's going to help you get your day started off right. Telling yourself positive affirmations. I would love for you to do at least, well, Sonia recommended 5. I don't know. Maybe start with 3 to 5. You guys, if you want to do 5, you can. But I think that's a really good idea to have your positive affirmations written out or recorded and say them like 2 to 3 times a day. You know, if you said them in the morning when you woke up and at night before you went to bed, you want to do it again in the carpool line or, you know, at lunch or whatever, your lunch break at work. I think that would be a good thing to just help you have that, you know, positive affirmation, and you're talking to yourself positively. You're pouring belief into yourself. And I would encourage you to make 3 of those. If you want to do 5, do 5. But I would make 3 of them about Plexus, you know, like positively affirm that you're going to go to the next level, you know, whatever your next rank is. Like, believe that you can. Say it with your mouth and train your brain. Get rid of the negative chatter. Okay, and then the third one is work your Plexus business at least 1 hour a day. I know some of you are working way more than 1 hour a day, but at least 1 productive hour a day. You know, IPAs, you know, income producing activities. Be reaching out, reach out with Messenger, reach out, pick up the phone. I mean, I'm even a chicken sometimes too when it calls to just pick up the phone. It's easier to send a message or a text. But I want to encourage you to be bold and to reach out. And, you know, I think by us working on thinking positively and believing in positive affirmations, I think it's going to give us a new boldness to reach out more. So I encourage you to reach out, and then also to be setting up these Zoom calls. We're doing these Zooms where you can get 3 people that are prospects interested in Plexus, get them on with your upline, and let your upline tell their story and talk to them about Plexus, about, you know, joining is the best deal. We're having huge growth with that. People are signing up with these Zooms, and I think it's just going to continue. We're just kind of getting started in it, but I would encourage all of you to be doing that and encouraging your team to do it, because there's just something about connecting with people. You know, we don't have to like organize it and figure out the night of the week that everyone can come. We just, you know, set them up at bedtime, 9 o'clock your time, whatever time zone you're in. So yeah, I think that, and I think too, by doing those Zooms, you know, and you telling your story and sharing your stories with people, I think that's going to build up your confidence too. So that is all I had. I did that in 48 minutes. Wow.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yes.
So the app is called Repeat It Again.
Okay.
And I just downloaded it onto my phone, and there's place for 9 recordings.
Yeah.
And it gives you on the bottom the number of times you want it to repeat.
Perfect. Yeah.
You can have it repeat up to 20 times the same thing.
Yeah, I remember Sonia played one of hers, and I think it was about exercise, and she loves to exercise. And she
loves to sweat, and she loves to run. And it was hysterical because she doesn't love any of that stuff. But she told the story that she's been listening to her positive affirmations, and she was in a hotel traveling, doing these seminars. And she woke up one morning, like before the alarm, and was like, I'm going to go run in the hotel gym, you know, on the treadmill. And she loved it, you know, and she said, I think it's because I was retraining my brain, that I was deciding to love it. You know, I need to do that. So exercise needs to be one of mine. But, you know, so I think that's a great, that little repeat it again. And you hear your own voice. There's probably a lot of power in that too. Yay. Thank you for looking that up, Jeannie. All right. Well, I think we are done. If anybody has anything else.
I'm just looking forward to getting more into the book.
Yeah, me too.
I was just going to say thank you for doing this because I think it's going to be really good for everybody.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. It's been a long time coming. I've needed to do some kind of personal development, and you know, I did this back in March, but I'm just now getting around to it. And I talked to Amber, and Amber and I were like, yes, we should definitely do something. And this would be a really good one. It's an easy read. It's not long and complicated, you know, and we can work it into our lives and not be overwhelmed. That's what I don't want, is you guys being like, oh my gosh, it's too much homework, or it's too long, or it's too many chapters or pages. So, and you can let me know. I think we can do 2 chapters next week. Again, that's like 14 pages. If you want to step it up and do more than that, we can. What do you guys think? I'm thinking 2 maybe again. But that way we get it done in 45 minutes or so.
I like 2 also, especially with the other challenge that we're doing as well, adding more on.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have one positive thing to say for a positive affirmation. While we were sitting here, I had an email come through, and one of the girls on my team just signed up her first ambassador while we were on this call.
Yay!
So, yay! Super excited for that.
Awesome. Very exciting. Yay. All right. Well, I'm expecting my, all of you's phones and mine too, or messages to blow up to do these Zooms, because I think that's going to be really big for our teams, especially in the summer. It just makes so much sense to just get on a Zoom with people and connect.
I think the Zooms will be I think those will be good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, girls. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks for joining us, everyone.